Jacob Guy and his wife, Susanna, moved from New England to Guy's Mills, Pennsylvania in the early 1800s. Jacob, who owned around 10,000 acres, sold land to settlers moving into the surrounding area. He erected a sawmill in 1816, but abandoned it in 1920. He also established a general store in 1833. Between the 1820s and 1830s, there was an influx of settlers who built many self-sustained farms. Over time, Guy's Mills began to accommodate travelers as well. Edwin Drake's discovery of oil in Titusville made Guy's Mills a crossroad where people passed through carrying their oil and other goods. The extra traffic created income and further developed the town of Guy's Mills. To keep up with the demand for supplies and to meet the needs of the residents of Guy's Mills, new businesses started to develop. One of the first businesses to start was the Guy House Hotel. After Jacob Guy died in 1850, his son, Augustus Guy, inherited his general store. Augustus sold the store and used the money to establish the hotel in 1851. Many travelers stayed at the 11-room hotel, making this the hub of all community activity. Weddings, dances, and other activities were carried out in the hotel. In 1976, a developer bought the property and tore down the hotel. In its place, the new Guy's Mills post office was built. Dr. Charles W. Burgwin moved into Guy's Mills in 1909. He was a doctor and practiced medicine in the area for 37 years. He also formed the Randolph Light and Power Company, which gave power to many of the homes at the time. He also started an apartment complex and later a woodworking shop. Another early business was Child's Garage. In 1928, Frank and Alice Childs bought property in Guy's Mills and started a garage. The garage was mainly a car repair shop, but also served as a state inspection center and a machine and welding shop. In 1929, gas pumps were added as well, and Frank Child delivered gas to many surrounding farmers. There were also places for play and relaxation in Guy's Mills. The International Order of Oddfellows, built in 1876, with the top story used for meetings and the bottom floor being rented out to merchants who sold goods there. The International Order of Oddfellows bought the building and expanded it significantly, adding a dining room and kitchen. The post office was also located there for a time. The International Order of Oddfellows was a club and lodge where people got together and enjoyed themselves. The building was then sold to David Byrd, Sr. in 1927. It was made into a store, but it burned completely in March 1933. A one-story building was put in its place and was sold to Norm McFadden in 1991, creating the current Norma's store. Another notable business was the pharmacist Den Smith store. He also served as a sort of local bank around 1900. The store cycled through several owners before becoming Taggart's Upholstery Shop, then Guy's Mills Post Office, and now the photography studio of Dennis Burchard. Across from the powerhouse of the Randolph Light and Electric Company, Merton Terrell's Garage stood, which was selling gas for 30.9 cents per gallon in 1967. The post office was in several locations as well, including the building of the now Burchard's Photography Studio, the International Order of Oddfellows, and Norma's store, and later moved into the new brick building put up in 1977. To meet the needs of knowledge and education, Randolph Township built a school building in 1927 and 1928. They combined the junior and senior high school and taught many students. Faith Builders Educational Programs bought the school and started the program in 1993. While many businesses cycled through the area, the local churches remained strong. One of these churches, called the Covenant Baptist Church, was the first Baptist congregation in Crawford County. It eventually quit being used in 1906 when it was torn down by Bryce Walker and used for lumber. Another church in Guy's Mills, which was called the First Congregational Church of Randolph, was established in 1825 as a congregational society. The actual church house was built in 1845 and was remodeled in 1871. Reverend Timothy Alden, who was also the founder of Allegheny College, directed the services when the church first started. This church house is standing today and is still being used regularly. A third church in Guys Mills, called the Guys Mills Methodist Church, was built in 1871. The entire church was built for only $3,500. Nearly a century later, in 1965, the Guys Mills Methodist Church merged with the Guys Mills Congregational Church and formed the United Church of Guys Mills, United Church of Christ. Although the building is still standing today, it is not being used regularly for church services. Instead, it is used as the United Evangelical Free Church Youth Complex. There were also some notable people that came from Guys Mills. One of these was Harry L. Wentworth. He is remembered for two things. One is that he founded Wentworth Auto Sales in 1930. He is also remembered for being the driving thrust behind the establishment of the Crawford County Fair in 1946. Another notable person that lived in Guys Mills area was John Brown. Brown attended the Congregational Church in Guys Mills between 1825 and 1831. He is also remembered for being the first postmaster of Randolph Township from 1828 to 1835. Brown also built a tannery close to Guys Mills, which happened to be a frequent stop for people traveling on the Underground Railroad. The tannery is still standing today and can still be visited. Brown eventually moved from Pennsylvania to Ohio, becoming a famous abolitionist. He was involved with the raid at Harper's Ferry and was later hanged for treason because of it. Guys Mills area is also famous for being the home of several notable sports and entertainment figures. Clint Brown, who was born in Black Ash in 1903, is famous for playing Major League Baseball. He played professional baseball for 15 years, pitching for the Cleveland Indians, and set several baseball records. Alexander Thurston, born in Randolph Township, is famous for being the inspiration for the Thurston hot air balloon event. He was inspired by his father, who was a famous hot air balloon pilot, but died when he fell from a hot air balloon on one of his escapades. Thurston eventually set a record for the fastest time to fly from the Diamond in Meadville to just west of Guys Mills. He completed this feat in just 22 minutes. Safety was important to the residents of Guys Mills. To meet this need, they established a volunteer fire department in the 1940s. The people bought a fire truck in 1949 and eventually built a fire hall in 1956. The fire department held many parades and fundraisers to support the volunteer firefighters. The Randolph Fire Department is still running strongly today. Today, Guys Mills is a busy little town in the middle of the country where you can find lots of nice people. There is a little store, a fire department, a church, and even an automobile repair shop. There is also a school with lots of great classes and awesome teachers.